This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. And it's announced just a few days later that he's in Houston and he's going to have to get surgery to remove cancerous polyps in his throat. When you find out that Dr. Death is in a real battle with cancer, do you reach out to him during this time? Did you know he was in Houston?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I reached out. It was weird because I had to go through, I think, his brother in Denver to find him. And actually saw him at the hospital one day. So it was, yes, I did. And we talked. It was a rough go for him.
Believe it or not, that actually made the Observer. It would be written here. Steve Williams, when it came time for his surgery for throat cancer on April 6th, was told they would have to remove his voice box to get it all. Williams sought a second opinion, and the second doctor recommended he undergo chemotherapy and radiation treatment and see what happens. Williams is under the care in Houston at the famous MD Anderson Hospital, which is considered the best in the world. It's the same hospital that Bruce Prichard's wife has been using for years in her battle with cancer, which in her case is in remission. I know we don't normally talk about that, but since it was in the Observer, it's sort of out there. But you had to have some sort of, I don't know, heart to heart, or, I mean, you guys, for obvious reasons, he's probably not your favorite person and you're probably not his favorite person or whatever, because it didn't work out. No. But now you find yourself not in a work atmosphere, but in a, hey man, there's more to life than wrestling.
Yeah. I don't think Steve and I were ever in a situation where neither one of us were either favorite person. I think that we both, look, I always got along with Steve, even in his leaving. I think Steve and I always remained on good terms. And I never was on bad terms, at least to my knowledge, with Steve. And when I got a hold of him, was very receptive. And, it's unfortunately, it's a club that I belong to in that regard of having a loved one, deal with some tough stuff. And I looked at Doc as a loved one as well. And just tried to say, hey man, there's, you got to fight, and there can be hope. There really is, but you got to fight.
We're home stretching it now. He goes through various treatments and surgeries. He pulls through. He wrestles an indie show in August of 2005. He had only been declared cancer free in December of 2004. So it's a miracle that he's there. And, you guys are looking out for him. He does some guest referee spots in March of 2006 on live events for the SmackDown brand. And he even, is signed and reports to Ohio Valley to become a trainer in the developmental system. He's put on OVW TV to sort of give the rub to Jake Hager, who we know as Jack Swagger, but eventually is let go from OVW. Do you know why it didn't work out for him as a trainer?
I don't. I have no idea. I forgot he was even there.
In September of 2008, he announces his retirement from the ring. And in the worst news, the 5-year anniversary of his checkup from cancer, they find it has returned and it's worse. Sadly, he passed away on December 29th, 2009 at his home in Lakewood, Colorado. Man, knowing that this is a guy who was there sort of in your early beginnings in Texas, and you tried the big thing 15 years later and it doesn't work out. And then you run into each other in a real life situation and it comes to a sad and tragic end like this. What'd you think when you got the news that you lost your friend, Dr. Death?
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, it really was. And I had seen him at like a convention or some kind of deal, man, but I'll never forget it because he was in the hallway. He was bald and had the voice box, and I didn't recognize him at that point. I as I got closer, I recognized the smile and I was like, oh my God, Steve. And, he knew, but that doesn't make it easy, just because and I loved the man, and he was a friend and a hell of a talent, and is sorely missed. And he's a great guy, and gone way, way, way too soon. Just very, very sad. And I know your next question is my favorite memory of Doc, and my favorite memory of Doc was outside of Cooter's nightclub in Houston, Texas, off of Edgebrook, and Doc standing there after a wonderful evening of a few adult beverages, challenging a Ford Bronco to run him over. And the Ford Bronco was scared to death. And Ted DiBiase and I got him out of there. But that, for some reason, it always makes me laugh because Doc was standing there. Come on, come on! There was this old cowboy in his Ford Bronco, and that he was terrified. And Doc wasn't moving. And guess what? The Bronco backed up and left.
Doc went in the WWE Hall of Fame in this most recent class. We'll call it 2020 and 2021. What do you think his legacy will be in the business? Japan?
I think, I think that when you go back, and I think Japan and Mid-South, because Doc was one of those names that emerged from that and came from a relatively rough beginning in the business to being one of the true superstars.
One last question, then we're going to wrap this one up, Bruce. Kurt Zamora wants to know, JR's name is constantly attached to Dr. Death, especially in the Attitude Era run. If he's not quote unquote JR's boy, does he get that chance and spot? So I guess two things here. One, what hurt Steve the most? The disaster at the Brawl for All, that JR was campaigning for him so much, or just bad creative?
Well, the Brawl for All hurt him the most. It was a combination of all things, but Jim didn't do it out of anything other than love and a great deal of respect for Dr. Death. And, I think people would skew that and spin that any way that they want to. But I know Jim really loved Doc and had a great deal of admiration for him, as I do. And sometimes that can be read the wrong way, and we have fun with it. But it was just bad timing for Doc. It really was.
Well, may he rest in peace. His legacy is not forgotten. Throw in your Google machine. Watch some old Dr. Death stuff from Japan or Mid-South. You'll be glad you did. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.